I tell you what, I got a stone in my shaft. My computer's frozen up. Pets' heads are falling off. I mean, this is literally the definition of a bad day. So, hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. Gosh, if I could talk about the mayhem going on right now in my life on the air, we would be in business. But this is not HBO, so I don't know that I can. Let me bring in my co-host, Brandon Rush. My gosh, we have absolutely had a wonderful week. And if you're out there and joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. If you're a gambler, this is the most important hour of your day. And last week, actually the last couple weeks have been incredibly good. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Get you ready to make some money this week. From Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
I'm splendid. We were spoiled a little bit by a really great championship weekend. We have the college football playoff bracket out, the final 4 weeks of the NFL regular season upon us. UFC's going, soccer's going. I mean, everything right now is a lot of fun. And a 4-0 Saturday. I mean, perfect sweep the board in the championship games was a heck of a way to start the weekend.
Yeah, we ran a $49 special last week. You got all the football. You get all the football. You got 4 football plays on Saturday, 4 on Sunday, and 9 players props. Those plays were 7-1, 4-0 Saturday, 3-1 Sunday. Everybody made money. Had a couple hundred people take advantage of that, and I think as of taping of this show, which is Monday, so they are missing Monday night if they don't sign back up. I've had about 18 sign back up, so 10%,
hey.
90%. What are 90% of the people doing? What are the other 90% doing? Are they just losers? They can't win? They're never going to win? Because I can't do any more other than offer a $49 special and then go 7-1. I don't know how to – and by the way, we had won on Friday, so the week was better. We went 9-2 in football over the week. And that's, by the way, on the heels of a 10-4. We were 10-4 the last weekend. We're now 9-2 this last week. Everybody's making money. $49, that's a really, really good deal. And everybody won, so I'm just wondering, what's their plan? It's Monday night. What's their plan? Are they just going to bet on their own and give it back? How's that work?
They probably went to they probably did some Christmas shopping and kind of got all that. I'm willing to bet that number doubles by the time Thursday night football rolls around, because we got Army Navy this weekend. We've got the bowl games that actually start on Saturday and a big card of the NFL games. So I feel like that retention number is gonna spike up here.
No, it normally does. And by the way, I can talk about this openly because it's not my number one concern. I'm in the Bahamas. I bet a ton of money. Actually, I'll be back by the time the weekend runs, but bet a ton of money on these games. Went 7-1 like everybody else. Saturday's basketball was 4-1. Everybody made money. I made a lot of money. So if the guys don't sign back up, they don't sign back up. I cannot help you. If you sign up for $49, you go 7-1, that you don't sign back up. You're just a losing gambler. If you're gambling again this weekend. Now, if you went to Vegas or whatever, fine, absolutely, do it when you can. But if you're now back at it betting on your own after the profit that we made you last week, I don't know. You're just going to be a losing gambler. So hopefully,
or they
at some
expect
point
you to roll out another. Hey, last 49 last week. Maybe it's 69 this week. Maybe we're going to get a deal this week. Maybe they're waiting for you to announce this week's special before they decide to pony up a little bit more than what they paid last week.
3 problems. Number one, you're missing picks between now and the weekend. All that money spends exactly the same as the weekend money at FatJackSports.com. Number 2, as important, I'm not doing that. $49, it's like walking into Gucci, them running a half price sale, and then you think that there's going to be a half price sale the next time you walk in. Mm-hmm. That's not a thing. I'm not a $7 Tuesday, do your best type guy. You're getting the plays I'm betting. They're very valuable because they win a lot more than they lose on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So those are 2 problems with that theory. Number 3 is I have a kidney stone that is working its way out of my body right now, and it has made it past the organs inside, but has not made the tip yet. So I got some problems going on. I've got a rock somewhere between the areas that hurt you with a kidney stone.
Between point A and point B, it is lodged.
I've got literally, and I'm in the Bahamas right now trying to figure out how to handle this because I don't want to go to a Bahamian hospital and say, hey guys, I got a rock in my shaft. I'm not doing that. All right. I'm going to rate it out. I'm drinking water like crazy. This thing's gotten weird all of a sudden. I set up a time to tape the show. We're taping the show. I want you to win. Go to FatJackSports.com. There's no $49 specials this week as long as I got stuff going on in my there. Get signed up today.
Now, next week, when there are no kidney stones present, perhaps. But not right
I'm
now.
not going back.
$49.
We've run 2 of those all year long. We ran one in like October. Ran one now. You're not getting another one. Maybe Pro Bowl weekend. So if you want to lose on your own between now and Pro Bowl weekend, I may throw it out then. Until then, the best rates. You can sign up between now and the Super Bowl. Let's just do some simple math before we break down last week's game and move forward. Because we have a ton to get to, and none of it is A, my shaft, B, the prices and math and all that kind of stuff. None of that is where we should be going with the way things are going. We'll talk about football. We'll talk who's in the playoff, who's not, all those things. But simple math, all the football through the Super Bowl right now, I think is $7.99. So $800. We are in. We have 4 weeks left of.
We have 4 weeks left of the regular season, and there's 4 weeks in the playoffs. So you're looking at $99 a week under.
You're paying less than $100 a week to make money consistently betting on sports, or you can wait it out, lose on your own. Let me clear the things out of my privates, and then we'll get to the Pro Bowl weekend at some point. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today and win this weekend. So what stuck out last week, Brandon? We had conference championships everywhere. We got the playoff now set. We'll worry about NFL after the break, but what happened last week that jumped out at you? Where did they get it right? Where are we?
The Ohio State Indiana game was phenomenal television. Great drama. Georgia Alabama was a thumping, kind of a little bit more than I was maybe anticipating. And then Duke Virginia, I'll be honest, I thought that was going to be a clunker. And then you go and put out Duke plus the points, and I thought, okay, we might be in for something. And it turned out to be an incredible game. Going to overtime, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. The Duke win, I think, made things a lot easier for the selection committee because they didn't have to include an ACC team. It would have been interesting to see if Virginia had won, A, if they would have made it, and B, who would have got left out in that sense.
So a couple things on that. That overtime, we're 4-0 on Saturday. I was living high all day long, and that overtime brought in a 2-2 back in. I mean, if things don't go well in overtime, we had and Duke.
Duke plus the points. Yeah, so when that game goes to overtime, we're in danger of not only losing Duke covering the plus 4.5, 5.5, and then the game going over the total because, as we all know, they don't call it undertime. So it was very sketchy. But man, getting that initial touchdown was good, and I was like, okay, we just get a turnover on downs here, and we're good. And then literally interception, and then I just go to bed.
Yeah, great play, actually. That kid made a great play. So, yeah, I ended up sweeping the board going 4-0 on Saturday. And you're right. Brandon, I need you to enlighten me real quick. We'll get to FatJackSports.com or give away some free winners, talk about I don't understand. Why is James Madison in it along with Tulane? Why are both of them in it? That to me makes no sense. I am all for, and I want to say this before we get too far, because you're going to hear people over the next 10 days or so talk about how the non-power fours don't belong, the lines are too big, That is all BS, okay? And by the way, I have a way to solve the bowl issue, the bowl problem also. We can talk a little bit later about that in the show. But there's bowl issues. Teams are opting out of the bowls right now. They are saying, we don't want to play. I have a way to fix all that. Maybe after the break we'll hit on that. But as far as I'm a guy, I absolutely believe the non-power fours need a representative. I think it's impossible for those teams to go out and recruit. This is supposed to be the entire NCAA. If you are a coach at Tulane, or basically anybody Tulane played, or anybody else at Boise, all these teams we're talking about, if you're any of those teams,
any of the teams in the MAC, in the Sun Belt, the American,
exactly,
yeah, they deserve a shot.
If you want them to have a chance, at the very minimum, you have to say, listen, come here. We value you. We're not Ohio State, but we may get to play Ohio State in the tournament because we're going to be the best non-power force. I think that tool in the toolbox is imperative. It's essential for all those teams. So I'm perfectly happy with one of those teams a year being in the playoff. I can't defend near as easily teams like Texas being left out. Teams like, although Notre Dame, in my opinion, has no good wins, they're not in a good conference. They get exactly what they get. You want to get in, go join the Big Ten. You want to get in, join the SEC. That's my remedy for Notre Dame. But those type teams, I can't justify Tulane and James Madison getting in over Texas, Notre Dame, and name your team. But BYU, in my opinion, has the biggest gripe of everybody. What happens if Texas Tech wins a national championship? BYU will have lost twice to already a team to the national championship. Already a team that is getting a bye. Mm-hmm. They already are one of the teams getting a bye. They lost twice. It's not Notre Dame that lost the only two good games they played. It's not Miami that lost to some people mid-season. This team has lost 2 games all year, and they're both to a potential a top 4 team in the country, and nobody even considered them because the eye test or whatever didn't bring them in, and the fact they're in the Big 12. I don't understand why there's 2 of those teams in, James Madison and Tulane.
I have a theory, and it is that they wanted to save when I say they, the committee wanted to save face. If they let James Madison in, they don't then have to decide between 2 major brands in Texas or Notre Dame. I think they took the easy way out, and they are going to stand behind. We're championing the little guy.
I sure hope being a coward is not what caused that decision. You put people on a conference. I would stand up there and I would say, this is why we did this. If you want all these teams in, then we need more than 12 teams. But here's what happened. But the little guy, I don't understand that. They're going to get run. Both of them most likely. Tulane might be competitive, but both of them are going to be get run. And the lines are big in those games coming up. And so I can't justify 2. You put somebody else in because you don't act like a coward. If you're on that committee, that one of the things of accepting that position is that, you know what, I'm going to stand up in front of everybody and I'm going to say some things that they don't like. And but I think at the end, you have to do the best possible thing. And I'm not going to argue with Miami or Notre Dame, honestly. Either one I would have been okay with. I think Miami beat them head to head. That's enough for me. Help me out, Brian. Was that game in Notre Dame or was it Miami? It was at Miami, right?
It was, I believe it was at Miami, correct?
Yeah, so A&M beat them at home, and they lost to Miami at Miami. So it's not as good. If it was in South Bend, I don't even think there's a conversation. I mean, if Miami went to South Bend and beat them there, the conversation's over. Played head-to-head, you win, you're in. But I can't justify James Madison and Tulane. So other than that, I'm okay with we have games coming up this coming week, Brandon. And by the way, $99 special. If you're out there, you want to get signed up, this weekend, $99. It's the calm before the bowl storm. Bowls are coming. I'm most likely going to send out a bowl analysis sheet for free. My conscience are going to get me, and I'm going to end up go ahead and doing that. It'll be best information available at the time that we send it out, which will be before all the bowl games start. So it'll be this weekend as these are running. To get that, you have to be on a package that's past the national championship game. So you can't sign up through the 31st and get the bowl analysis sheet because there's bowl games after the 31st. So if you want to get that, sign up through the Super Bowl. You can get everything. Like I said, it's less than $100 a week. It's like $85 a week to get all the football all the way through the Super Bowl at FatJackSports.com. So which game jumps at you the most of these initial ones? I guess there's only really 2 to pick from. From which one jumps out of the college football stuff?
Of the playoff games?
Yes.
I mean, Miami A&M is intriguing, but I am most, and homerism aside, beating a team twice in the same season is very difficult. I'm very interested to see what Alabama does going to Norman on a Friday night, maybe snowing. That loss is still probably very fresh in their minds, and I think everybody involved kind of understands that they didn't see the Alabama at their best form in that loss in Norman a couple weeks ago. So to turn around and go back to a place where you've lost once before, that will be the most intriguing matchup of the first 4 for me. And again, not from a homeristic standpoint.
So they won at Alabama. It wasn't just winning. They went at Alabama, right? They were in Alabama. They won, right?
You're correct. Yeah, It was last year that they lost in Norman. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what's interesting about they're very evenly matched teams. Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
1.5 point underdogs. Alabama's a small favorite on the road. I'm okay with the number. I don't think there's a lot of value because of the inept offense that Oklahoma's played. Alabama not as good as OU on defense, but
No.
better than them on offense. They
Yes.
go on the road to a historically very difficult place to play. So I'm okay. I think the line's about right. Like the game in Tuscaloosa, the team that has the most fewest mistakes is going to win, and they're
Yep.
going to cover, and that's the truth. Unless OU's offense remains as inept as they've been over the last 2 or 3 games, and if that happens, I don't even know that it takes a mistake out of Alabama's offense. All it takes is them doing what they're able to do, which is a few field goals. Um, I don't mean that mean, but Oklahoma looks lost right now. They're not throwing it down the field. They're not running it. Alabama's now seen them. So I think the game's going to be very close. Now, we'll tell you, Oklahoma's ability to take the ball away from anybody with that defense. I mean, they remind me so much of the Chicago Bears back in the day or Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these great defensive teams that you don't need to do a ton, but they're going to need them to do something going forward. If not this week, definitely forward. And they don't. The only time they don't need offense is when the defense will take it away, similar to what they did at Alabama, and they win or get that becomes the deciding factor. Both these teams have been trending under. Brad, I don't know how not only to not release the under, but play a bunch on the under. It may go over, and I don't care what the total is. It's It's a little bit like Army Navy. That game normally is an auto bet to the under.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like the over of that game this year because I don't think that Navy plays very good defense. They've gone over 7-11 games, and their offense is better and more two-dimensional than they have been in the past. They throw it a little more. So I actually lean toward over at Army Navy. But this game here, I can't see any way, unless there's special teams, scoop and scores, pick sixes, things like that. And this game went under last time, and they had some of that. They had a pick six. They had a big return. So Alabama's gone under 5 games in a row under the total. Oklahoma's gone under 11 of 13 games. And they haven't even sniffed an over when they haven't got points with their defense. So
or played a competent opponent.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody that plays defense at all. This one should be a slugfest, having nothing to do with the weather. I absolutely like the under. If there happens to be weather, that's fine. I don't think a little bit of weather. We haven't talked about that on this show. I talk about that on the TV show a lot, but a little bit of weather a lot of times benefits the offense. A little snow, a little ice, a little rain. Those things a lot of times will benefit the offense. The offense knows where they're going. The defense doesn't. The offense knows the snap count. The defense doesn't. So a little bit of weather doesn't hurt totals to go over if you're ever looking over. A lot of weather does, and wind does. Wind is the number one thing that keeps totals down. 15, 25-mile-an-hour winds, it does affect how you throw the ball, especially if you have a team that needs to throw the ball. That becomes a problem. But when you're handicapping, a lot of guys will make the mistake of say, well, it's going to be snowing. It's got to lean toward the end. That's not accurate. All right. And so I would advise this: if you get this game early enough, bet it now. So if you're going to bet under, bet it now. The closer it gets, especially if any weather comes up, the public's going to hammer. They're looking for a reason anyway. Right. So where they might bet $50 on the under, weather comes in, they're going to bet 200. That happens by 100,000 people nationwide. You get that total trending down. The weather doesn't necessarily affect anything, with my opinion. I'm looking for the best number. I need a high number, but I do like the under in that game. You like either side, Brandon? What do you think happens there?
The fact that Oklahoma's offense has been so inept and so inconsistent, it's very hard for me to think that they're going to be able to score 17 points. 20. I think that they probably need to get into the upper teens in order to beat a pretty good Alabama team. The way that Georgia moved the ball on Alabama in the championship game, though, kind of gives me a little bit of hope, especially if Oklahoma is, I can't say consistent with the run game, but is at least willing to run the quarterback. That helps their chances. But this is a game that, unless you put it out, I'm not touching.
Yeah, I'm not going to put it out. We may play the total. I won't put the side. I just can't.
No.
I can't. And also, there's visions of Mateer in my head from what he did early in the season.
Sure.
And so all they have
that
to do
switch could
is
flip at any time, but
catch lightning in a bottle. They
Yeah.
get some receivers getting open. I'm not blaming Mateer. People don't get that wrong. I'm not blaming him. Receivers are not getting open. They're not running as effectively, but a little bit of offensive success puts a ton of pressure on Alabama because the defense is going to pack a lunch, guys, because the defense is showing.
Defense is going to get theirs, yeah.
Their coaching staff and those kids are dogs. I mean, they are going to get there. So I'm not worried about that if I'm an OU fan at all. The other side of the ball, a little concerned with. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about these playoff games. We're going to talk about who we think might win. We're going to talk about Texas Tech and the ticket that all of you should have out there at least 50-1, what we may or may not do with that. We don't have to worry about this week. We can talk about that in a week or so. And then we'll turn to the NFL, get you ready to make some money in pro football. $99 weekend. Get signed up today. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Back out to Allen. His three-pointer.
Before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history's made.
If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally. Set limits. And keep it fun.
When gambling becomes a problem,
Visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host guiding us into the playoffs. He's the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2, kind of the calm before the bowl storm, $99 weekend. Go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up. Last week, 7-1, swept the board on Saturday, 3-1 on Sunday. We were 9-2 in football overall. The other sports are doing very, very well. 4-1 last Saturday in basketball. Last year, we ran off a period of about 2 months on Saturday where we went 4-1 or better. And this year's football has been 4-2 or better every Saturday this year except 3. We've actually averaged over 4-2 on Saturdays alone. So get signed up today. You'll get some of the bowl stuff. You're going to get Army, Navy. You're going to get the NFL, more in the NFL because there are more games, and we are dialed in there as well. So go get signed up. $99 will get you to the weekend. By the way, want to brag real quick before we get on to more sports. My child, Jackson Ross, and his wife, Ellie Ross, actually, because she's married to my son, they were just named to the Forbes 30 under 30 most influential people in the country list in the food and beverage category. Forbes 30 under 30, you'll see they have the big list, which will have Saquon Barkley will be on there, and some guy that's, invented paper. I mean, those type of things. They'll have those type people. Then they have
real movers and shakers.
And then they'll have categories where they will give away 30 under 30 in different areas. Food and beverage is one of them. And there's a big banquet, obviously. It's a very prestigious deal, but they both were named, their company, Little Sweet Treat, and them as owners, founders, and all that kind of stuff, as 30 of the most influential people in the country under 30 years of age. So there's few things that I would stop this show and just say and come out. And that's one. Come on. That's one of them. There's nobody listening to this show that their kids been on that list, and that's a big. I'm gonna say it. Not,
will not, and is not currently on that list.
How can you say to the hater parents when you were growing up, "I win"?
I mean, add in Jack's good hands team.
I don't want to brag. I don't want to go there.
I'm just saying, homie's a catch.
There's been some stuff. He's done pretty well. I wasn't even going to go into any of that, all the college stuff. I was just going to say.
I'll bang that drum for you. That's fine.
I was trying to figure out how to say without. And who I'm going to ask is Ray Young. Trey Young also grew up in Norman. And Trey Young, these people were not nice, at least behind their back. I heard it. And that dude went out, rose above all of it. Trey Young, I'm telling you, very philanthropic, incredible people who basically, men of God, leaned on God and said, you know what, I know that these people pulled against us. And I know that they were not always the best influences on my child. But as a whole, we've been very blessed. And he basically built an entire center millions and millions of dollars donated by Trae Young, guard for the Atlanta Hawks, to Norman, Oklahoma, and a city that at times was not that encouraging to Trae Young. I should ask him. I'm not going to do anything like that. And my kids actually went to Heritage Hall in the city, and it's a whole nother bag of things to unpack there. But I think it's interesting that, I just wanted to be able to say I won. So, so that type of deal. Fat Jack Sports Hour, fatjacksports.com. Get signed up today, guys. $99. And as soon as I say that, Katie's going to get on meth or something. That's exactly what's
there will be there was a story over the weekend or maybe last week, I don't know if you saw this, where a raccoon broke into a liquor store.
Yeah, I saw that.
That if Katie's going to make the news,
that's going to be
it's going to be along those lines.
God's going to say, "Hey, yeah, how about some karma? How about a little slice of karma pie, Jack? Hey, Katie, you like meth?" I mean, so let's hope we keep the kids off.
Have you ever stolen a car and then just drove around with a raccoon in it and then, lit firecrackers off the 405? Like, what do you like?
That's exactly right.
Coming.
That's probably. Oh, please don't do that. Okay, let's do this. NFL. So let's talk more about college football.
Yes.
Because there's so much to get to. So you never said. Did you feel like they got it right? What'd you think? Was it Notre Dame? Was it?
I'm okay. Even with James Madison getting in and say like BYU, Notre Dame, Texas being left out, I'm fine. And I think, again, I believe that they kind of took the easy way. We're championing the little guy, and they're only doing this so they can expand the playoff to 16 teams, and then they'll live with that until it becomes a problem. Then they'll go to 24, 32. Whatever.
Do you think 16 needs to happen?
No. I think that the NCAA and or the power structure needs to change, and we may be getting that because I think we're seeing now with teams like Notre Dame opting out of bowl games that we are going to see the death of bowl games as we know it. We've already seen the death of college sports as we know it. Bowl games are coming.
I'm going to save the bowl games. So somebody who knows.
I have a plan as well, and I'm curious to know yours.
All right, press play. Whoever you already got play pressed. We need to send this to the powers that be. Here's how you save the bowl games. You absolutely, first of all, you quit acting like a bunch of you-know-whats if you're running the show and running the thing. And you can't be any greedier there than we have had to become with the NIL with college football. We get the NIL under control. That's a whole other issue. That's a whole thing going on. But here's how you save the bowl games. First of all, the players get compensated for playing in the bowl games. You're going to have fewer of them because right now we're going to have to basically combine the John Deere and the avocados from Mexico Bowl. Not going to have as many. You'll have fewer, but you're going to be able to have a bunch, and you're going to get bigger sponsors. And part of the money, two things are going to happen. Number one, the schools are going to get NIL money directly to them, and it's not just $50K. All right, right now we have ESPN running all the bowl games. Most of them are funded by them. They're very shoestring budget run. That is not going to work. These teams are not going to agree. This will be the 1 year everybody's going to say no thanks, but no thanks. Our bodies are worth more. Here's how you fix that though. You have 20 bowl games, and each of them are funded by. They're a bigger deal because it's not all of them. And you can even tier them and give them to some of the lower-rated teams that are in the MAC and all these other conferences. But within that, the players are getting money, and the NIL for the universities are getting more money. So it's a $5 million. If you go play in the Tostitos, whatever, All-American thing up at Yankee Stadium, both teams NIL, maybe even make the winner. The winner gets $5 million to NIL. The loser gets $2,500. Let's get some of this stuff going. Let's quit acting like a bunch of you-know-whats. Let's go play for something. And that NIL money goes, winner gets this, loser gets this, and then the players also get money. If we want to pretend and go backwards, it's never going to work. We have to think of something going forward that's going to incentivize athletes, schools, and teams to keep playing when they're literally playing for nothing, which is what you have to admit right now. It's a different world. My opinion is throw money at that. What do you think about that?
I don't hate it. I like the sort of rock and jock aspect of like, hey, we can no longer hide behind the idea of, hey, this is a reward that we're taking care of our student athletes. We've that ship has sailed. I'm all for putting up, and this goes to the sponsors. And again, condensed games go to the sponsors and be like, hey, we're going to put you on the biggest platform possible. You are going to then fund, the X amount of dollars goes towards the school's NIL.
That's right.
So it's not even just benefiting the football program. I mean, this helps fund the Olympic sports. It does everything that football is supposed to do, which is take care of all the other sports.
And then you play the players also for going. You're going to have fewer opt-outs. You're going to have people playing for that money. They're going to care about going to the Wedge Bowl or whatever it is. I mean, that's what you want.
Save the swag bags. Give them a
check. Right. That's right.
Let them buy their own swag.
Let's admit what we're doing here. Yeah, they don't need a Nintendo. They need $500, and they need that times a bunch. I mean, I'm thinking like $5K a player. I mean, people, let's start acting like we care. Get the NIL under control. It's a whole nother thing. FatJackSports.com. But that's what was your idea before we get to in NFL?
Move the bowl games to the start of the following season. So instead of having, say, like the Gasparilla Bowl, Memphis versus NC State in Tampa in next weekend, have those two teams an exhibition game. It's because college football doesn't have a preseason game. Let those teams go as a reward for the final week of camp. Hey, you know what? We're going to go to Tampa. We're going to enjoy the week. And then we're going to play a game that doesn't necessarily mean anything because, let's be honest, the bowls don't mean a damn thing. So this is essentially a preseason game, but it's a reward for what you did last year. And in doing so, you were incentivizing kids to stay at the programs that they're at. So if you were at Kennesaw State and then you decided that you're going to go to Washington, hey, you're not going to play in the LA Bowl because you're leaving your school. So you're not eligible to play in that bowl game next year. Move them. Keep the playoff. Boom. 12 games. We're good. Everyone else plays a preseason game the following year, but you only get to play if you were at that program the year before.
If I hadn't had my idea, that wouldn't be the worst idea I've ever heard.
I mean, we can combine the two. I mean, we can. Hey, you know what? Let's have two games.
I think the key here is that you need to admit that these things mean nothing now.
Yep.
And understand that the people that are opting out or not going are doing it because the only thing they're giving up is a swag bag and a trip. And what they're losing is a chance at a career-ending injury, hits on their body, all the things that go into that. That trade-off for especially teams like Notre Dame. I get people saying, well, they should go play. I understand that. I don't know that that's realistic. This is a business more than it's ever been. These guys are playing for their future, and if they don't want to go play in a bowl game that they don't means nothing, I can't really blame them. So what I think, make it mean something. You want them to play, make it mean something financially and otherwise. The university, that'll get the university's attention, and then all it's going to be is go finding Microsoft. You already got AT&T, you got Dr. Pepper, so you go find Ford, and you go find Chevy, and you go find all these other people that are throwing money at the Super Bowl ads. I mean, you could get a lot of this done for one Super Bowl ad.
Right.
I mean, it's $5 million to do a Super Bowl ad. The companies are there. Give them a reason to support these other games through NIL and through the kids. So anyway, FatJackSports.com. It's not my department. If I had lost last week or the week before, we were 10-4 the week before last, 9-2 this last week. If I had lost, I wouldn't spend 2 seconds trying to talk about my shaft or fix college football.
Trying to fix the college football bowl system. By the way, $8 million to run a 30-second ad during the Super Bowl in February.
So you're halfway there. You make a big dent just by getting some of those guys to agree to.
So yeah, let's do that. Instead of paying $8 million for a 30-second Super Bowl commercial, spend half that. You get a full game on television, and you get to be the champion of these two programs. And be, hey, we gave $3 million to this winning team's NIL fund. Yeah, beautiful.
That's right.
Love it.
I think you're just going to move over some of that advertising dollar. So FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. $99 weekend. As I said, we're doing nothing but winning right now. Things are going really, really well. Be a part of that, especially if you were on the package last week. But even if you weren't, it's not too late. So I always tell people, if you quit because you're horrible at this or you're not winning consistently, it's okay. Not everybody's good at this, but be smart enough to get with somebody that is good at it and will be able to consistently make you money, and that's what I'll be able to do.
And I'm sad, though, that if we do go to this method, we will lose things like the Pop-Tarts Bowl and the Mayo Bowl.
They can still participate. It's just it's like golf tournaments and stuff. Like you have the AT&T Pebble Beach, but you're also going to have a better example is NASCAR. So you're going to have NASCAR, and you're going to have the one who's sponsoring, the Delco whatever. But then you're going to have all these cars and all these things with these other people on them. You're just not going to get an entire game that nobody cares about for $50,000 because ESPN called you and said, "Hey, you want to sponsor this?"
Yeah,
we had Dave Point. We had Barstool sponsor it. Give me a break. I mean, what are we doing? We're running these kids out there. They're playing each other, putting their bodies on the line. And Dave Portnoy is up there acting like he's done something. That's stupid. Let's give a little more money, reward the kids financially and otherwise. And now we're doing something. Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of advertisers would go with that plan. So if somebody's out there, forward this to the powers that be. Otherwise, I'm just going to send it to Joe Castiglione or somebody and hope they do something good with it because he's going to have some time on his hands after he quits. Bowl season is here. I'm excited. I was excited even last year before we got to this point where nobody cared about most of the bowl games because there's a lot of opportunities to make money, and we're going to make a lot of money this bowl season. Get signed up at FatJackSports.com. Get one of the packages through the Super Bowl or longer, and you're going to get the bowl analysis sheet for free. You are going to get a more in-depth breakdown of these bowl games that are coming up this week. Those of you who don't realize the playoffs start on Thursday, right? Thursday, Friday, or Friday? Is it Friday, Saturday? What is it?
The first college football playoff game is Alabama, Oklahoma. That's on Friday the 19th.
Friday.
So next Friday is the first playoff game. The other three are on Saturday the 20th.
Now, prices will not go down between now and then. So if you're thinking about waiting, you get something through the Super Bowl, they're not going down. I mean, obviously that's the meat and potatoes of what's coming up is not only those playoffs, but all of the NFL profit and much more. So go get signed up, FatJackSports.com, and win. My computer is frozen, so
that's not good.
I'm having trouble. At least you can hear me. I think you can hear me.
So we have that going for us.
I tell you what, I got a stone in my shaft. My computer's frozen up. Pets' heads are falling off. I mean, this is literally the definition of a bad day. So, but we're going to get through it. We're going to persevere. NFL, what jumps out at you this week, Brandon?
This is sort of the last week of the NFL season where it's sort of the normal schedule where there's like a Thursday night game, 14 games on Sunday, and then Monday Night Football because next week, once it gets into the playoffs for college football, there's games Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then the week after that's Christmas. So then there's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's insanity. That said, this weekend's not very awesome from a watchability standpoint, but there are very important games and I think some very gettable games. Green Bay, Denver is going to be very intriguing because I can't figure out Green Bay from week to week. The fact that they are favored at Denver against maybe the best defense they're going to play all year boggles my mind.
That's Vegas saying basically what I've been saying, that they haven't played and Denver hadn't played anybody, and they're going to figure it out this week. They feel like Green Bay's got it going, and you're right. I mean, Green Bay at times, like this last week against Chicago, which we've talked about how overrated I think Chicago is, but they put it all together. They are very formidable team. When they run it a little bit, play good defense. Their defense is getting better. Signs of what Philly did last year with both offense and defense playing much better. Defense playing better for sure. And you know what? Last week when I released Tennessee, I'm sure everybody said, you know what? That's not a great watchability game. And they're right. But you know what? That cash spent exactly the same as all the other winners. I almost bet a small import on the under in the Kansas City game last week. Kansas City, Houston. I don't know why I did not.
So bad offensively. And the fact that they flat out refused to catch the football. That's tough, man.
If I hadn't done so well, I was going to reach out and we were going to play like 4 units on it. At least the elite guys were. It was just one of those easy games and then afterwards I'm like kicking myself. Why didn't I do that?
Sure.
Overthought it. Green Bay's gone over 7 of 10 games this year. Denver has been under 10 of their last 15. So you have two stylistic, totally different matches. We talked about Bo Nix in the past, and that I think he is getting better, but defense is really where they hang their hat. I mean, this is a top 3 defense in the league, and they're at home. This is a really interesting game. Denver 10-0 straight up their last 10 games. I mean, this team is rolling right now. and Green Bay 4-1 their last 5. You got Green Bay covering 4 of their last 6 in the series against Denver. So it's definitely going to be an interesting match. This is another one of those. I hate to be the total king. I turn myself the total king on the TV show.
Mhm.
Right now, nobody's calling me that except me, which is okay. But I've really been good on the totals in the show. Yeah, me around the house. I'm the only person that's doing that, and I'm only doing it around the house. But anyway, I do think that this is one of those games that you look to the under. Green Bay does not like to be – they don't like to open it up offensively. They don't like to take chances. And I'm not sure that the Broncos can even if they want to. I don't think they're in any mood, especially with their head coach, of risking a lot, especially at home. The total's 43.5. You're going to see some low totals this week, either because of injury at key positions or because teams just don't score. Carolina Saints are 40.5. The Colts, because of their injuries at quarterback. We're off the air, but with Phillip Rivers, I tell you that Phillip Rivers is they worked him out this week. So that's a red flag. That's a sign of a desperation when you're bringing Phillip Rivers out of babysitting duty to see what he's got left. Dolphins Steelers, another one. You just don't get a lot of offense. So, but don't be afraid to play the unders this time of year, especially when you're not getting any weather. That's the big thing. Is that the weather will drive the totals down where there'll be some value to the over. But some of these games you're not going to get a ton of weather, and the total's around 40. That's there for a reason. These teams, a lot of them just either can't score or stylistically they're not going to try to score because they don't have to.
Speaking of totals, 2 of the higher totals in the NFL this weekend. One's an eliminator game. Baltimore at Cincinnati, total 52.5. And then Jared Goff's return to Los Angeles, 55.5 between Rams and Lions.
It makes sense, right? Both those teams scoring a ton of points.
And in the case of Cincinnati, flat refused to play defense.
Yeah, you've got no coincidence. Some of the worst defenses in the league. Baltimore's not far behind. This is a team that anybody competent offensively, they are not stopping at any type of rate. And it's super hard to fix that this time of year. That's something we don't talk a lot about. But one of the handicapping things, it's not a coincidence that we started out the NFL year not great. Most of our profit was all being carried by college football.
Yeah.
And we made money almost every single week, but it was primarily the college and then the weekday games. We were hitting Mondays, hitting Thursdays in the NFL. Sundays weren't great, but Saturdays were so good they were overcoming that. We were making money. But there's not a coincidence that this time of year we have caught huge fire with the NFL stuff the last few weeks, last month or more. Had a couple of 4-0s over the last month. I mean, really, really strong in the NFL. And it's because the handicapping has to change. And some of that is knowing which of these principles will help you make money and which won't. And one of them is, what can we fix this time of year versus what can't we fix? And bad defense is super hard to fix. Bad quarterback play, super hard to fix. So if you know that a team, it's not speculation. That's the other thing. People get involved in speculatory too much. What happened recently or what you think's going to happen with backup quarterbacks or with injuries, those type things. That is not where you hang your hat. All right. What you should be looking for are teams that you kind of know who's going to play. And they're consistently doing something either good or bad. The Rams consistently scoring a bunch of points. New Orleans not consistently scoring a bunch of points. Those type things will help you. And then add some good defenses to that. That's where you can actually really dive at it and make some money. Similar to what we got with Kansas City, who's not playing good offense and they are playing pretty good defense against the Houston team that has already resigned to the fact if they don't turn it over, they're going to beat most teams. And so they are going to run it a ton, even when most of the people out there watching don't think that they should. So just a little bit of handicapping insight. Free winner would be under in that game, also under in the Jacksonville game. So there's a couple games right off that. Denver game under, Jacksonville under. Both of those games, you're just going to have a conservative game plan, coaches that are not going to try to stretch the field at all, and going to lead to some lower scoring games and some longer drives. So a couple of free winners here in the third segment as we head off the weekend. The Jets are the most lost team in the NFL, especially offensively. I don't expect them to do much offensively. That's why Jacksonville, which a few weeks ago was getting beat by everybody overseas, now is a 12.5-point favorite at home playing the Jets. So under both those games, those are 2 free winners. FatJackSports.com, $99 weekend for football, $169 or so, depending on when you're listening, $149 to $169 for football and basketball. Get all the plays and all the sports through even New Year's Eve. You're going to make more. Soccer going every single week this time of year. You got UFC, one more card going this weekend. You win with that UFC card if you don't get the next 2 for free, which will be once we turn into 2026. So get signed up for that. A lot of different things to make money. If you get all the plays, the players' props doing really, really well this year. They've only had 2 losing weeks all year long. Those a lot of volume at plays with those, but my gosh, when you start having these NFL games on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, getting those players props will make you more money consistently. It's a really good idea to add those this time of year, right, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. And having the players props has been one of my favorite things to do this season, because the service has done so well that every week, and this is a weird thing that maybe I just do, and it's an ADD thing. I want my account to be at a round number. So if it's $264 in my account, I'm going to put a $4 parlay on something dumb, just so I can end the week on a level number, and I'll use those player props with selections, piece them together, and try and hit something. And if it loses, hey, it was $4, but that's just icing on a very, very tasty cake.
It also allows you to pay attention to games that you wouldn't pay attention to otherwise, because you go back in, use yahoo.com, look at the stats thing during the games, and you'll have 2 or 3 bets. So some of the places that we've made a lot of money this year have been games that I haven't released. Most of the time, you're going to make the most money on the props on the games that we are releasing. It's just been that way. We'll make 4 units or 5 units on one game versus just the winner or the total winner. But a lot of times, you'll be able to look up and say, you know what, I didn't care at all about
the Saints.
The Saints and whoever. But I like going 2-1 in that game, maybe $20 or $50 or whatever. So those type things add up. They will make your weekend more enjoyable. And I found myself, since we've been doing that, enjoying the Sunday. You're right. It helps to be just dominating. I mean, we're winning a bunch on the selections. And then the players' props are adding money. It's like, gosh, what a great day. That's why we love football season. So not too late for that, and that's actually a perfect time of year for that, because, as I said, you get those games on multiple days, and when you get those singled-out games, you're going to get 5 to 7 players' props a lot of times in those games on Mondays, Thursdays. Coming up on Saturdays, you might have 10 to 15 players' props on a Saturday. So instead of just 2 or 3 NFL plays, you're also going to get those players' props, which will add more money. How are we doing on time?
We should probably get out of here.
All right, let's get out of here. I've got to go try to use the restroom and figure this out. I mean, I've got major problems. I mean, you do not want that thing getting stopped in certain areas, and I am in a code red right now. So we're going to figure it out. If I have to go to the hospital, that's better for the show. Not good for me and my people. So let's, fingers crossed, we get this thing relieved here the next time I have to go to the bathroom. Guys, wager responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this calm before the storm. Bowl games are coming. Playoffs are coming, and so much more. Get signed up at FatJackSports.com. Until next week, for Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.